Hello YouTube. Today we have a video on a couple things. A quick update on the float plate version 3 that I uploaded a video on, and thanks to all the views and the comments. And then also something I am very excited about is the installation of the new Fangs Minis version 2. I have actually had these for about, I think, 5 weeks now, but you'll notice I still have a little brace on my wrist. Just actually got out of a cast about a week and a half ago. Took a little spill while I was out floating around, and before I get any comments, I was wearing complete gear, knees, wrists, helmet. Was actually wearing the 888 hired hands, which I highly recommend this product. But when I fell, the force was such that it pushed laterally and actually pushed one of the bones in my hand and just gave me a little tiny fracture in my radius. But it's healing up nicely. I am completely confident that if I wouldn't have been wearing wrist guards, I would have just broken my radius completely. So can't say enough. I'll always wear protection, but you know what? Sometimes stuff happens. So I held off installing. I didn't want to be in a full cast, and I just haven't been riding as much. So we're going to take a look at kind of an update on the float plates and a couple of the things that I've run into that will hopefully help other folks when they're installing them, and then look at how they interface with the Fangs, because at this point I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to be doing all of this for the first time on this video, so we will be seeing and hearing all of this for the first time together. So let's get some of this out of the way here. First off, let's take a look at the board. So this is my good old board here. If you watched my first video, you might remember that I was questioning the length of the screws. They give you 2 screw lengths to put in the front. Through using the board, I guess vibration or not having it tightened down enough, the shorter screw actually wound up coming out. And so I replaced both of the front screws with the longer screws, and you can see there's quite a bit of wear and tear on the float plate. For those folks who made comments about, you know, why do you need it, the plastic that covers the battery and the control housing is very thin, and you can see the damage that has been done. And of course, this is me. This is just maybe me not being as skilled a rider as others, but either way you can see that this would have done some significant damage to the housing that controls very critical components. Now, what is interesting here, if I flip the board over, you will see that the float plate has actually popped out of the screw. And hopefully you can see it there, or the screws pop through the float plate. This happened just a few days ago when my son was just practicing some curb hops and caught the front lip on the curb, and it just popped out. So I'm going to be taking this off because I need to take this off anyways to install the Fangs, and I'll explain why. So let me open up the Fangs box here. So we got some awesome stickers and stuff from Land Surf. So always cool to have more stickers for the helmet and the board. So thank you guys for that. Let's take out one of the fangs here. So inside the box we have our hardware and our instructions. But if we take out one of the new aluminum housing, which these are just awesome. They look like they are going to really perform well. When they go into this screw here, but part of the installation process is threading the bolt through the bearings and to attach the, this would actually go, I guess it could go either way, threading the bolt through the bearings and the nut. You're not going to be able to get to it with the fin on there. So either way, I would have to take this off, and just in order to get the bolt through. So what I'm going to do first here is just take off this float plate here while we're on camera. So I'm going to be using a driver, as I said last time, you know, at your own risk. I would recommend against ever tightening these down with a driver, but for the purposes of time, I'm going to just use this driver. And these are the back screws here. And then you'll see I still have this screw here that pops through. So we're going to take that off, put that up there. That's the longer one. Nice grass that got up under there. Okay, so with this off, you can see that indeed, you know, we'll be able to get through and get the nut through. I'm sorry, get the bolt through to put the wheels on. So, and although I guess arguably you could say you could get through possibly to tighten that down, I am just gonna do it the safe way and give myself access to it all around. Since I had to take the board out, since I had to take the float plate off anyways, now that I'm looking at it a little more closely, it looks like I probably could thread the screw through and tighten it. So, you know, maybe we'll go ahead and do that first. Install the wheel and see if we can just tighten it down. I think that before, one of the issues was you had to put the wheel on first before you got in here. So we'll make up one of these and try and just install it. And then if not, we'll go through and do it the other way. So we'll move some of this out of the way here. Move this off camera. So just for a minute, I'm going to set the board down. So let's go ahead. Inside of the box is just some information and just the instructions on putting the bolt through. I'm going to build one of these. And try and install it snaps right in there. Hypothetically snaps straight in there. All right, so you have a tapered thread or tapered head that goes in, and then your nut, and then we are just going to go through, and I'm going to tighten these down a bit, and they still seem to roll pretty well. I've not put a tremendous amount of torque on that, but hopefully that will stay. And so let's just see. It appears that we may have a little bit of trouble getting the bolt down with the wheel already in place. And because, like any normal engineer, I didn't go through and read the instructions first, just went through, start building it. It may say in the instructions that you have to mount this first. So yeah, so you can see it's supposed to go down, and in order to do that, you're gonna have to not have the wheel in place. Okay, so through the wonders of editing, I've after further consideration, I am switching the wheels so that the nut goes on to the outside of the board. You know, I was able to thread the this bolt through, and I'm able to access it to tighten it down. And my reasoning here is that by having the bolt to the inside, I'll actually be able to access it with an Allen wrench if I need it to verify that it is tightened down. Plus, with the flight fin, with the float plate up against the outside here, in the event it does come loose or loosens up, there's very minimal chance that I would lose that bolt because the float plate will be up against it. So once again, time will tell if that was the correct decision. So I can actually access the bolt here if I need to verify that it's tightened down. So we will install the second wheel here. Reinstall the second wheel. Get it good and tight. Still rolls very easily. Then slide that in and get that started. And get in there and give it a good snug. Make sure it is on there. It's not wanting to turn loose of my Allen wrench. Okay, so those appear to be nice and seated. One more. So, okay. So now the real test comes with putting the float plate back on. So as I did with the first video, I am just going to start these without tightening them down too far. Mainly just to test to make sure that I do have enough clearance at the front without stressing anything. I don't want to stress out the housing of the fangs, or interfere with their operation. But just from first glance, it looks fine. And they are low profile, so there really isn't a significant amount of the fang above the float plate. So I'm sure it is going to help in keeping me from nosediving should the front hit the ground. But the float plate still doesn't even come up above the housing, so I think it should be just fine. Now this is the bolt that popped out, and the reason I'm sure. Now I've done a lot of damage to these plates, and in fact I'm going to order another set, but I suspect that the reason that they popped out was just pure user error. When I tightened these down, I over tightened them and maybe pushed the plastic out around the bolt. So it's hard to tell exactly what happened or why it happened, or if indeed it is going to happen again. But either way, I am going to get another set of these because I've already, because of just the way that my son and I turn, we tend to drag this side, so it's already down into the top of the hex bolt, the Allen bolt. So it's time to consider replacing those now that I think we're a little more skilled at riding. So I'm gonna just finish tightening these down here. Make sure that they're all even. Like I did last time, I'm going to tighten it as far as I can using the short end of the Allen wrench before I really get on it and torque it down. And hopefully being careful not to over tighten it through the plastic. So what I'll be doing is my first few rides, I'm really going to keep an eye on this, and if I find any issues, or if I found that I have just installed this completely incorrectly, or please leave comments. I'll comment on the video to let you know if I've changed anything. Okay, so we have everything on, and looks like everything is fitting nicely with the fangs. Even with the plate, they still ride below the top of the aluminum housing, so I don't anticipate any issues with having the float plates interfere with the operation of the fangs. And these are the low profiles, the minis, so just by design they're meant to be low profile, but I think they're still going to perform exactly as expected. So we'll just do a quick, just roll it over here, and we'll just shove the front down, and yeah, I mean that's rolling nicely. Hopefully you can pick some of that up, but it is definitely not running on the float plate. That is on the Fangs. So really looking forward to that. You know, hopefully I don't need it catastrophically, but I definitely feel that this was a great safety precaution to perhaps give you that extra second or two to get off the board or get re-righted before you take that infamous nosedive. Just a quick other point. I actually got my pint gear in the other week. I did decide to go ahead and order a pint. I got it for my son, who's quite a bit smaller than me, but really loves to ride the Onewheel. So looking forward to that. Right now it's supposed to ship June the 5th. I'm not exactly sure when this video is going up, but I will perhaps do another little video on that when we get the pint. But again, thanks to everyone who has watched the video and left comments. If there's anything, if you have any questions or would like to know anything else, don't hesitate to ask, and hopefully I'll have another video in the near future. Float on.